leave little notes for each other, and it's just the way, I think the pace now is very different than, say, 50, even a few decades ago. People lead very busy lives, they travel extensively with their work, and they are like two ships passing in the night. But the way you could do it on a personal level like you did, I think that's wonderful as a first collaboration in animation. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then moving down to your film, which, or your animation, very interesting. I have a great love for trees. And I just thought that was beautiful, the way you wove the story through the roots, right? Am I got the right film?
No.
Oh dear, okay. And then, for the first faux pas. So, for you, The Wishing Tree.
Mine was Am I Dreaming? So it's the musical. It's the first one.
The first one, the musical. You were The Wishing Tree.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's line up. As long as we're on that thought, we'll go back to the I Am Dreaming. Sorry. So, sorry for the confusion.
No worries.
In any event, to the roots of those trees.
Yeah.
That was almost like you were a botanist and you had studied the relationship that trees have with one another when you have the mother tree, and then you have the cloning of the forest. I was thinking that you were a forester to do this type of a film.
I'm not a forester, but I became very interested in how trees communicate. I think right now, in the last few years, a lot more studies are reaching popular media about it. And what I love about a tree's communication is that they help each other, and they will help trees that are not related to them. So they'll help their other like sibling trees, but they'll share resources with trees that are not of their kind. And I thought, oh, how like unconditional and wise that is, and I wanted to contrast it with the conditional love of a person making a wish and putting it on a tree.
Wonderful idea to connect those two. I love that.
Thank you.
And did you read The Hidden Life of Trees?
Yes.
Which is just such a wonderful book for any of you interested in that particular animation. It's a wonderful book on how trees communicate.
Absolutely.
And my favorite in that book are the giraffes.
Yeah.
The ones that somebody was studying giraffes. Maybe some of you have remember this if you read the book. And the giraffes would eat leaves from the canopy of a certain acacia, and then they would walk a half a mile or more to the next acacia tree, skipping all the ones in between. They went at some distance, and the fellow was trying to think, why are they doing this? And then they discovered that when the acacia is being eaten, if I got this right?
It's in distress.
It's in distress, and so it releases a gas that tells the neighboring trees, watch out, there's a predator that's about to eat you.
Yeah, so trees literally talk to each other. So.
And then those trees create something that's a toxic kind of a taste, so that the giraffe doesn't want to eat those leaves because it's been warned and it's producing this sort of not very good taste. So what a wonderful way though to do a wishing tree and have it the way you did it with the seasons. It was very beautiful with the flowering and the autumn and back and forth and the way you did it with the animation.
Yeah,
I thought it was perfect for that. And then going back to the Am I Dreaming? That was just a wonderful opener. Really enjoyed that. Can you explain your process on that, how you came up with the idea?
So it was originally Jake, the director's idea, who came and contacted me, and as a person who he wanted to write a musical, and so as a person who was going to write a musical, I was sort of thrusted into the writing role because when you're doing a musical, technically you're the one who's writing all the lyrics. So by extension, you're doing that. It was one of my background was mostly in scoring, traditional films, meaning like not musical theater films, and so it was very interesting running into a situation where the music to the film had to be written before the film itself, and it was a lot of freedom to do that, because normally the film is done, and once the picture lock is done, then it's my job to compose. But yeah, it was I wrote the music like 5 years ago, and then it arrived. So I was like, surely, but yeah. But I was like, oh my gosh. But yes.
So you wrote the music without seeing the completed
Yes.
work
Yes.
ahead of time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a musical, so I believe most of them are you have to write the music first, and then people animate the lips to it, and then basically, yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I write picture books for children, and that's
Ooh.
the process there usually is
Yeah.
you do the writing the story first,
Mhm.
and then the illustrator does the
Yeah.
pictures to match the words. But you can do it both ways, but I think more commonly it's the words first and then the
That is true.
illustrations. Yeah, interesting process though. Yeah, lovely done, and it's such a story that we all can relate to, I think, you know? With the handsome football player.
Yeah.
You know, here's my dream guy, and then you catch him.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, oh, devastating. But the way she combats that with her persona is pretty confident and
Yeah.
and a good message for all girls with first loves, and that it's okay, you're gonna survive, and yes,
Yeah.
I've got me, you know, and whatever. That was good. She's a very strong character.
Thank you.
And the music was quite lovely. It was great. It really went well with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And was it were you surprised when you saw the completed work? Did it match what kind of you had thought it would match?
I think so. I think going into it, Jake wanted something that was very Disney-esque. So he told me, he was like, oh, it's gonna be very Disney, and the art style ended up being like very, very much that. I was pretty in my head. I imagined the main character to be a little bit more goofy and wearing like a little bit more nerdy apparel, because one of the lyrics was that she was a nerd. But then I just look at her and I'm like, oh my god, she's just gorgeous. Like why would she ever like girl, like you can get a better person than a footballer, but yeah. Like
Exactly.
but yeah, so I was surprised by how some of the characters looked, but apparently it was really hard. It would have been a lot more time consuming animating skirts than it is pants. And yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I just write music.
That's good. Wonderful. And then your wonderful film. Please.
I
Yeah.
work hard, so you won't make
Yeah.
a mistake.
Yes, well, yeah, I know you didn't write the music, but we love that song. I mean, I used to listen to that song, and it's a wonderful song. And you want to talk a little bit about how you came up with the sketching ideas, which I thought was brilliant, the way you portrayed the song.
Well, that's a technique that I use typically, and I kept it fairly rough in going with the idea of the trades, which are not, it's not a refined thing. It's kind of basic. But that's the technique I use, which is hand-drawn on paper. And the story is autobiographical, based on the relationship with my late husband, and who was a tradesman. And he always felt insecure about it because of our differences in background. So I brought in all the other trades, and the idea of the song is he feels insecure because he's a tradesman and thinking that he's not good enough. And in the film, and in my own opinion, she admired him because of that, because he could do something for her. So, and throughout the film, you see the different trades. And in the end, when they have the baby, the child is more like the father. So I didn't bookend it with the little girl playing tea party with the dolls. She's actually hammering something like her father does.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Now I have to ask you, is your husband a carpenter?
He was a bricklayer. Actually, when I started the film, he wasn't too sure about it. He thought I might be mocking him. And he actually contracted, he was diagnosed with cancer and died while I was making the film.
Oh,
So it was, you know. But the way we met was exactly that. We were working somewhere, and he came into my apartment and saw that a chair needed fixing. And he fixed it, and he started fixing things around the apartment.
and that was a great beginning. I love, that was my favorite, I think, scene is the chair breaking and then fixing the chair. I thought that was
Yeah,
perfect.
so then she finds him useful after that, and then you see the other traits, and as she transforms throughout the film, to be more of a practical person.
Oh, that was wonderful, and I love your style too. That was unusual, because you have that kind of loose. What do you call that? Where with the pencil, the way you're it's very liquid kind of brush strokes
Yes.
and
Yeah. Well, it's a combination. I'm a combination of fine artist, and then I worked at Disney. So I just used my own drawings and then the skills that I learned at Disney to, if you had, and nobody in between, slowing the images down and keeping them smooth, but using my own drawing style
uh-huh.
rather than a Disney style, which I've sort of rebelled against because then I think, I'm not gonna do it like Disney. I'm going to do my own drawings and apply Disney-like techniques to it.
Well, perfect. What a great way to grow from a work experience, and Disney is a decent work experience, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, there is a connection here in the Coachella Valley to Walt Disney. Are you familiar
I
with that?
think so.
So he built and lived in a house on Smoke Tree Ranch, which is about 10 minutes from here. And he used to show his early cuts of his very first films there there was a little school. And he would, you know, show the rough cuts of animations like Lady and the Tramp were first seen here in Palm Springs in this little schoolhouse that he would share with the kids. And so he was quite well known, and at first they weren't sure if they even wanted him to live on this kind of, formerly it was a homestead, but it was like a ranch style place, Smoke Tree Ranch, and they thought he would be too glitzy because he was coming from Hollywood. And he said, no, I love horses. I'm here because I want the desert kind of environment, and I'm not gonna bring over and have big parties. And so they said, yes, we'd love for you to be a guest here and build a house. So he was here for quite some time, and then sold his home because he needed money to build Disneyland in Anaheim. And then he came back after that was successful, and he built another house and really enjoyed his years. So that's a little on the Disney connection, which I think is interesting to know for animators, that Disney loved the desert. And if you go to Disneyland here in Anaheim, or if you go to Orlando, there's a statue of Walt Disney, and he's wearing a tie. And on the tie is the logo, or not the logo, the brand, what do you call it, that they put on cattle and horses? You know, what's the term? The brand, I guess just the brand of Smoke Tree. The SR is on his tie, on the statue in both places. So big connection with Disney to this area. Opening it up for questions, because this, you know, all these were wonderful, these animations. They were just, each one was unique in style. Thank you so much. Let's have a big round. And how about some questions on what these people have done so beautifully? Any other animators here? Yes?
I've always been interested in animation. What are you up to next, you know, because, and first off, how long did it take you to do your projects, like the idea to get, I think some of you referred to it, and then from what you've done, you have other projects coming up?
That's a great question. So how long did it take for each one of you, and what's your next project?
It took me about 6 months from beginning to end. And my next project I'm working on is The Snake, which is almost complete. It's also based on the song, the fable about the woman who takes in a snake. And it's a comedy, a scary comedy. And it should be ready, you know, in a few months.
So we might enter it here for next year, maybe.
Yes.
And it's called The
The
Snake.
Snake.
Okay, wonderful.
It took me 9 months to make wishing trees, although I've been kind of obsessed about tree communication for a long time. I was coming up with the idea of how to communicate it in animation. And right now I have a few projects that I'm writing, and I just need to pick one to do next, but all in animation.
And so you start out with story and work
Yeah.
on that.
It starts with an idea, and then you can expand it to a story. And then once you're happy with that, you sort of move into production, actually making it.
And I'm curious about the story part. Do you actually, when you're working on story, are you actually writing a story? Like,
Yeah.
like as a writer, I'm a writer, I would write a story with sentences and breaks and,
Yeah, I write beats. Well, the story didn't have any dialogue, but it had beats like for each season, what happens, and making sure that all the emotional beats are, the emotions are there for the audience to connect to, hopefully.
with sort of a sense of time? Do you
Yeah.
put that in there with,
Yeah, I think the timing is logged down once you have footage, once you've made some shots and you can edit it together once the music comes in. Then you tighten it, make some scenes longer or shorter. So you play with time.
can you talk a little bit about the music for it?
Yeah, I have a wonderful composer, Rebecca Nisco, and she we were throwing ideas around like what do we want to do for this film, and she was like, oh, how about we just like I write a piece for an orchestra. I'm like, okay. All right. And we started to like I was panicking because like orchestra sounds really expensive, and but I found Budapest Orchestra that works with a lot of indie filmmakers, not just animation, and they're wonderful. And my friend, she indeed wrote a piece for a huge orchestra, and we just submitted it 24 hours before the recording session, and we recorded it kind of like on Zoom, like their version of Zoom. You can do it in person, but highly recommend it for any filmmakers that
So this-
need a full orchestra.
And this was a full orchestra that,
Yeah, like full string orchestra.
in Budapest?
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic that it worked out. It sounds like on a timeline that was pretty, how to get it
Yes.
done. Yes.
They're so helpful and so nice.
And do you have like a title for your next one that will be coming out that you're working on, or
Oh, the title, like I think title comes last. There's a lot
It
of
does.
working like working titles, so not. But once you have a title that works, like you know that's what it will be.
Just so we could watch for it, like she said, the snake, so now I've got that.
Okay,
in
well
mind.
I'm working with something with tennis.
Ah,
Yeah, I played the tennis as a child and always wanted to capture the sport and some kind of in animation.
oh, great. I'm a tennis player, so I'll look forward to that.
Okay.
Okay. And you're,
So, I'm so sorry, I forgot the question.
so the question was, just, what it will be your next work that
Okay,
you're,
okay.
that you're working on, and
How long?
how long it took you to do this one, for the
Um,
music?
This one, for the music, it took me a month, but for the animation, I think it took like I think it took 4 years for the animation. It was from what I heard, it was a lot of people like doing stuff whenever they have free time, because most of us have most of them had day jobs and all that stuff. But that's all I know. But yeah.
Do you have a next project that you're working on?
Yes, I'm currently working on a documentary about the Middle East, and then I'm also working on a narrative titled Annalie, and I'm also writing music for another animated musical named Hotel Lepra.
Oh, okay, wonderful. You're quite busy. Yeah. And how about the two ships down there?
Yeah, so Two Ships, I think I mentioned, it took us a little over 3 years. It was like a year of production, and then a year of post, and then a year of prep, and then there was some stuff in between. And yeah, it was all, it was just a passion project for everybody involved. So again, yeah, we were kind of like doing day jobs, like both working full time, and then doing this at night, early morning or late at night, and then on the weekends. And so, yeah, it took longer than normal. But it was all like hand drawn frame by frame, so that also is like a very tedious process. I think there's like over 4,500 individual drawings. So, yeah,
Really?
yes.
That you drew?
No, that I didn't draw. Our amazing animation team drew. We had 3 animators. Our animation director, Ala, was based in Portugal, and then she had 2 or 3 animators working under her. Yeah,
That just
they were
sounds like
amazing.
a tremendous amount of.
Yeah, they were amazing to work with. And my favorite sequence in the film is sort of like the middle section, the black and white swing sequence as we call it, where the characters are like on the swings and then they're falling. And that was all done by our animation director, and she did that full scene all by herself in a matter of a few weeks, which is very fast for a 40-second unbroken shot. Like, that's pretty fast. So we were really impressed with her work on that. And then, yeah, we're developing our next animated short. And do you want
Just one follow-up, because I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with, everything is changing with digital.
to?
So when you say 4,500 pieces, were these all digital, done on
Yes,
computer?
it was all done digitally, but by hand. Each frame was drawn on a like tablet. Yeah, because we were originally wanting it to be done traditionally, like pencil on paper and watercolor backgrounds and all that, and then we realized, ooh, that's going to cost way more money and take way longer. So for our first project, we also wanted to have more like leeway and like, when you do things digitally, you're able to change things a lot easier if you were to do it than traditionally. But we wanted to mirror the traditional look as much as possible. So we emulated watercolor and gouache backgrounds, and we emulated like very sort of loose, sketchy pencil style for the character animation. So that was really important to us, as we wanted it to feel as handmade as possible, and especially with the story being so intimate, we wanted to like have the medium and the look and the style like replicate that and kind of complement that.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job
Thank you.
on
Yeah.
that. And the scene that you love so much with them falling in the swing scene. So for something like that, would the animator actually have people swinging, and then she would take like from real people swinging and turning it into a digital framework?
No, so
or-
that was all just done, from her mind. It was all just done like freehand. There was no reference for that. That would be very hard to capture a reference for that. So with like the camera movement, like kind of circling around them too. So that was just all from her mind. So really, really talented people that we were lucky to have worked with.
The reason I asked that question is we had an earlier animation, which maybe some of you saw, that was quite good. It was from jazz to bootstraps. Did some of you see that?
Yeah.
Which was I hadn't
Very
seen
good,
anything
yeah.
quite like that, where they were at one time during the Nazi regime, Germany had rules that you had to follow, where you couldn't dance. And there were these 10 rules. And so the animator would take one person and put sensors, I guess, on their body to make a certain movement, and then repeat those, so that you might have 100 people doing the same movement animated. It was quite a different technique that I've never seen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. You guys are awesome. You're all so brilliant to do this work. Thank you so much for coming to the festival.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, sharing everything, and I'm sure everybody here enjoyed it just as much as we did and you did, and I hope you come back with a snake and whatever else is next. Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Apologize for that.